Hey, it's Kev back with you in the Can Cave. Today's project, or, well, I shouldn't say today's project, but a project that I've wanted to do now for 6 years. I'm finally starting it. I'm sure you know how all that is. But anyway, since I'm learning how to weld, this will even be funner. But I've always been fascinated by this picture since I found it on the internet in 2018. Shock absorber looking butterfly body deal here, yard art. And I know my youngest daughter likes butterflies, so I'm gonna make one for our landscaping, then I'll make her one. But this is something I've always wanted to do. So if you've been watching my channel or following me, I'm just learning how to weld, so doing a lot of practice on washers and stuff like that, and trying to figure out exactly, how I'm going to do it and layer it up and stuff. But anyway, this is what I want to build, so let me see what I got here. Okay, this seems a little big for a body, but it doesn't mean I can't build a bigger butterfly in the future. But we'll see. Chain 1, chain 2. Let me start laying this out here. See what I can't figure out. I still think this is just too big. I'd like to be able to make a small one at first. And this is off an 80s Yamadog, I believe. I'm gonna try something else here. This is off of it's a 4D rear shock for a Indian Chief. There's another part of it. This is just, I want to find something metal kind of shaped like that for a head. Be nice to be able to make a couple of these out of one chain instead of using a whole chain for one. If I use the big shock absorber, that's what I'd be doing probably. Let me see here. I think what I'm going to do is use this butterfly my wife got off the internet. And I'm going to make a small one at first. I'm going to take this here, which I'm very thankful for. And there's, I did learn one thing: not all butterflies look the same, and not all their wings look the same, and so on and so forth. But this is kind of a pretty neat little design here, so I think I'll go with it. So I'm going to transfer this over to a piece of cardboard. All right, back in. I bought a pack of these Sharpies, and I never thought I'd have to use one. I mean, it included this chisel tip, they call it, and I never thought I'd use it, but hey, I found a use. I started making this jig here, and I'm just using this copper plated plumber's hanger, and just comes in a coil like that. Anyway, started making it and laid the chain out, and it's going to be great welding the chain. Now this is the back side of the right wing, and that's kind of where the problem starts at here, because I can weld this and I'll be gladly flipping it over to not show my welds, but flip it over to this side. So then I got to build a jig on this side to weld the bottom of the left side and flip it over. The problem I'm having is, well, it's not a major problem, but it's just the hardest part and time-consuming part is trying to make these symmetrical. Now, I know that nobody will probably ever notice it but me, but eventually these wings will be mounted at an angle like that on a body or something like this. So it'll be like this. So it'll be kind of hard to compare to something. It's easy to compare something flat, but not up like this. So I think what I'm going to do, just to satisfy myself, is weld this side, flip it over, and try to, before I start nailing this copper in place, try to get them more symmetrical, because I know they aren't symmetrical and it's bugging me. But anyway, that's where we're at. Let's try that. All right, thanks. All right, here's an update on where I'm at with this butterfly project. And there's the jig I made. The jig worked pretty good. There is some modifications I need to make last time, like I'm going to use some copper plated nails to hold this in, or get some copper that's thicker than that where it actually stays where I want it to be, because it actually comes hold on a second here, in a coil like this. So once you uncoil it, of course it wants to coil back up. No big deal. I ended up, originally I was going to use an 80s shock for the butterfly body off the Yamadog. Then I was going to use this porch swing shock. And then it was just, I realized I didn't have enough chain to make something this big. So I modified it smaller and came up with this. And I'm going to use one of these for the body, kind of, sort of, this chipping hammer body. Anyway, I'm going to take this here, transfer it over to the metal. Of course, I'm going to take this chain and clean it up real quick before I do any of this, but I just kind of wanted to see if this would work. I think I'll take this one I've got already kind of done. I had to break some welds on it to, let me get repositioned here. Broke some welds on it because I just didn't have enough chain to make it as big as what I wanted it to make, because I ruined some chain practicing. And I'm thinking, this is kind of what I'm thinking. This will be the body. Of course, it'll be mounted up like that. Okay, so just ignore these chain links here. These are how much bigger it is from the other piece I have here. So I'm trying to make this to where I'm going to put a head on here, and I might put a little something on the bottom here. But I had to modify my chain from that to what I have here. It's going to be a smaller one, obviously, but then I'll take my chalk stick here and I'll mark the outlines here, and then I'll get the other chain laid out to weld. Got her kind of laid out. I laid the one that I've got partially welded on top. So I'm thinking if I remove this, this should be a symmetrical one once I flip it over, because I want to keep the welds on the bottom side. So anyway, let's try that. Well, I got one part sort of done here. I want to kind of figure out, as you can tell, I've done a lot of experimentation with what kind of washers I want. It turned out smaller than what I wanted, so I don't want to use all big washers. So I started looking at some of these split ring washers or lock washers that I had. Tried to use stuff I got laying around, that I've had laying around for years, obviously, but anyway, just kind of trying to fit some stuff together so I can take it back outside and weld it, or figure out what I'm going to do, then weld it. I was thinking maybe, yeah, isn't that cool how that fits in there? Big one at the top, then put one in the middle here. I don't think the middle quite holds up as well, but let me see. Get something around that size to kind of hold it up for me here. That's kind of what I'm thinking right here, and then fill it in with smaller ones. But that's where I'm at right now. Subject to change, because I change my mind constantly about this, because I've never done one before. And I have the picture of one that was done, which is absolutely beautiful. But I'll get her figured out sooner or later. Just to kind of give you an idea how small this thing is here. There's my hand. Of course, my hands are big, but I'm going to try to figure out how I can fill these in. Kind of, sort of, or maybe 3 different sizes. I thought the splits might, or the lock washers might kind of add a little texture to it. I'm not sure, but I figured I'd make a little video on this part, this section here, before I go outside and start trying to tack it up. Hey, it's Kev back here with you for an update. Looking at this paper, which I've been using for a reference, making this butterfly dealie. Even though I just think this is absolutely beautiful. The gaps here kind of drove me crazy trying to figure it out. So what I did is I just went ahead and layered the washers in, even though they're not all a perfect level. And it kind of satisfied the fact that I was leaving gaps. So the butterfly will eventually be mounted to a stake out in the landscape and probably mounted at an angle like that. So I've got the other side here to figure out yet. In fact, I can get that out of the way, but buddy dropped by, gave me some more junk off some stuff from work, and I'm going to cut this spring here and probably use it welded on this other spring head here, and that'll be the head of the butterfly with some antennas coming out. But anyway, I gotta figure out what I'm going to do with this top part here if I want to, put these little, I don't know what you call them, ribs in here, I guess. Still got to figure all that out, but I just figured I'd touch bases with you. That's what it looks like so far. And I mean, it is what it is. I'm learning to weld. That looks pretty bad there. Anyway, it is what it is. I had a couple of people look at it and they think it looks pretty good for a newbie. So I'm happy with that. And that kind of motivates me. And of course, my wife's an artist and she says, do it the way you want to do it. That's what art is. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do. Just thought I'd get back with you. Here we go. Hey, it's Kev back here with you with an update. I got this little rib deal welded in here. I've been taking washers, layering them up, and using my little Kant twist here, which works excellent for this. But the hard part is getting the weld to weld these two washers together without being seen from the front. I haven't figured out how to do that yet. It's got to barely get her in there and blob it, I guess. But anyway, this fits up in here, kind of sort of like this. Man, actually kind of holds itself there, so I can tack it from the back possibly. But anyway, that's where I'm at so far. Dougster would say, more soon. Hey, high five to all the welders out there. Someday I'll be a big boy and I'll be a big boy welder. But right now, yard art is what I do, and I'm very happy with it. I love this new hobby. I wish I would have done it 20 years ago. Every channel I watch motivates me. A couple guys in particular I wanted to mention because they get credit here. Bondo Billy channel, nearly 250,000 subscribers, and nearly 50 years in the body shop, a full supporter of flux core welding, and a lot of guys talk smack about it. I bought a cheap flux core welder. That's what I'm going to use. If I get better, I might upgrade someday to MIG. My brother's got a MIG up north, and I'm going to try that out this fall when I head back up home. But thanks, Bondo Billy, for the support of flux core welding. It made me get off my butt after 6 years of owning one and trying it. And also want to thank Bondo Billy for plasma cutter, which I'm going to be doing an unboxing on that. I don't know anything about him, but I want it on his channel. And so super cool of Bondo Billy. Jason Smith channel, absolutely phenomenal. I'm a picky guy. I'm probably one of the pickiest people you ever seen with my own stuff, that is. And Jason Smith, you can't get any pickier than the work he does. I don't know how he does it. He's working a lot of stuff in miniature form, and actually it's functional, like building your own battleship. Anyway, Jason Smith, thank you for the email support and just being a friend and helping me out. Dude, you're phenomenal. You're definitely been blessed with a lot of talent. Paul and Xander, good friends of mine. Both Paul welded in the shop for years. Xander welds where he works at on big rigs. These guys have a can-do attitude, and they're also the ones that said, get out on the driveway, quit crying about it, put your purse down, learn how to weld. So that's exactly what I did. I don't know why it intimidated me so much. I've done a lot of crazy stuff in my life, but welding always kind of intimidated me. I guess because I just didn't make that first step on actually learning how to do it. And I want to thank my brothers also. We grew up mowing lawns and we hand waxed cars for a living. And my dad made us work, so that was, that's a good thing. Anyway, they both worked in a welding shop, and so I was able to kind of bounce some stuff off them. They did contracts for Caterpillar back in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s. So anyway, been a great time. I look forward to maturing in this hobby, and I want to thank you for your time and attention. Have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.